Hello and welcome to the Wright Know Your Money podcast. I'm Ashley Smith.
And I'm Tom Richards.
On the Know Your Money podcast, we talk everything finance, from financial planning tips to how what's going on in the world around you affects the money in your wallet and, most importantly, your financial future.
If this podcast helps you, please like and subscribe so that we can help as many people as possible moving forwards. In recent weeks and months, you can't have failed to hear all the buzz about artificial intelligence, also known as AI. One of the most popular being language models such as ChatGPT. The technology behind these are incredible and can be helpful for all kinds of tasks, such as helping job seekers write their CV or creating code and detailed formula for computing. It has also been used for some not so admirable purposes, such as those in the news recently for individuals who got caught writing university essays. Regardless of its application, it's gradually becoming a much bigger part of everyone's lives, and it's therefore really important that we discuss it. So, it's natural that people may consider using AI when helping manage their finances, but we would urge caution. If you're thinking of using an AI tool instead of a living, breathing financial advisor as a bot, it is not suitable for a real thing. Today's article is going to explore why this may be the case. So, Ash, can you briefly explain why your clients at Wright put so much value on the advice that you provide, and can you explain how this is done differently compared to an AI equivalent?
Of course, so first and foremost, a human being can get to know you and can get to know your goals. So financial planners such as ourselves at Wright, we recognise that every client is an individual with a unique set of circumstances. It's only by understanding the current financial position of our clients, their future goals and aspirations, that we can create a personalised financial strategy. At Wright, we also take a holistic look at your situation. So each step that you take within the financial planning process works to support your overall objectives, rather than there just being lots of individual little plans that don't really link together. We also take that one step further and we look at what could go wrong. So, for example, if we're planning for a couple, it's important to consider how the household finances may be affected if one of them passed away, or if one of them lost their job or lost their income through redundancy or ill health. So if you're planning for an individual, we also like to look at what could go wrong. It's not always about the death of one of the couples. So with an individual, very similar to the couple, if you lose your income and there's no other party bringing money into the household, how do you keep up with your mortgage payments? How do you keep up with your rent, the bills, general costs of living, etc.? Although AI does respond to prompts, so you can put some of these things into the AI models, the answers it provides will vary hugely depending upon the exact wording of the question. So you can put a very similar question but phrase it slightly differently, and the outcome could be very, very different, one of which or both of which may not be suitable for you and your finances. Like most computer processing tools, the output is only ever going to be as good as the input. It simply can't have the same level of insight into your life and your aspirations, your goals, as a real financial advisor can.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Ash. Could you now explain the emotion element of your job, and how do you as an advisor handle clients' emotions on a day-to-day basis compared to AI?
Of course, so again, because AI is a model, it pulls information from things that already exist on the internet or from its own database. It's not going to be able to show that level of emotional support and empathy that a human can. So perhaps you're feeling daunted by the task of getting all of your finances in order. There's a lot of complex terminology that can be used in the financial industry. You may feel uncomfortable discussing some of these issues, such as death, such as what happens if my partner passes away, where's my income coming from? So a financial advisor that does this on a regular basis will be able to walk you through those processes with that level of emotional support that you need. A financial planner will also have what we call emotional intelligence and understanding, so they can talk to you appropriately depending upon the circumstances. If you, for example, have lost your partner, they've passed away and you need to get your finances in order, a financial advisor will be able to talk to you appropriately rather than it just being an auto computer generated response. As we've also spoke about in a previous podcast as well, investing isn't always just about numbers and looking back at previous data sets. It can also be influenced by your emotions, by your behaviours and your behavioural biases. So a skilled financial advisor almost acts as a behaviour coach as well. It helps they help clients navigate those sort of emotional aspects of investing. I'm not going to go into great depth about all the biases here. We can go back and listen to that podcast if you like, but making sure that any decision you make isn't made based upon impulse, isn't made based upon data sets that might not be relevant just because it's pulled through from the artificial intelligence data system. Making sure then that any actions that you do take are correct for you and your financial objectives in the whole.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Could you now just explain obviously AI provides very general financial advice. Could you explain the difference between that general advice and our tailored advice that we provide at Howard Wright and how that differs?
Of course. So as we detailed right at the start, every single person is different. They'll have their own unique set of financial circumstances. As financial planners, we will then tailor our advice to that specific set of circumstances. So whilst you can ask these AI systems such as ChatGPT certain questions, they will only ever give you an answer based upon other people's experiences, existing data sets, and that advice tends to be quite general. Therefore, it's not taking a look at your financial picture as a whole in the same way that a financial advisor would. And it's very unlikely, unless you can be really, really specific and get the exact question in and the exact wording right, it's very unlikely to also plan and look at what would happen if somebody passes away or loses an income. So whilst AI could be good and quite helpful for perhaps defining what certain terms mean, so if you've done some reading and you're not quite sure what an ISA is, for example, you could put that into ChatGPT and it would tell you what an ISA is, or it might tell you what the tax benefits are. In general, it wouldn't necessarily tell you whether or not that was the most tax efficient investment for you,
or the best one,
or the best one at that time for you. And as well with these AI models as well, there's usually a disclaimer on there, which sort of details, you know, the data set is only valid up until a certain point. So I think with ChatGPT, it's possibly 2021. So if the tax rules have changed in the last couple of years, perhaps, if you're using or trying to use one of these AI tools to build your financial plan, you're perhaps using old rules and causing yourself a tax headache because the data set hasn't been updated.
That's fantastic, and I think that's a brilliant segue for my next question that I've got here. Could you now explain the difference in regulation between the advice that we provide at Howard Wright compared to an AI advisor?
Yeah, very simply, an AI advisor isn't regulated. So financial advisors like ourselves, we're chartered planners here at Howard Wright, we're regulated and authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority, which means that when you're coming to someone like ourselves, you can be sort of confident that you're dealing with individuals and a company that set themselves out to be the highest possible standard that we can. In theory, then that means that you can trust us to give accurate information and guidance, and always act in your best interests. And by contrast, if you're just using one of these AI tools that's drawing upon information from all kinds of sources, it doesn't matter whether that source is correct or incorrect, the AI tool probably won't know that. It will just find a source of information and pull that through to you. And because it doesn't necessarily always know, or you don't always know where it's generated that information from, you can't always be sure that information is correct. In addition to that as well, there's also been some concerns raised that the algorithms that these systems are using have the potential for bias, because ultimately they've been built by somebody. So that bias may then influence the answers that you get, which in turn then could or may not give poor advice or poor general information that may or may not be correct. Likewise, linking back into the point that we've just made about the date of this information that comes through. Obviously, with a financial advisor like ourselves, we are up to date with all of the regulation changes. That's not always going to be the case with an AI tool such as ChatGPT or anyone else. And there's also the argument to say, well, will an AI tool ever truly understand you? Now, possibly into the future, who knows? But certainly with where they are at the moment, it's never going to truly understand you, your position, your dreams, your aspirations, which means then it can't build a meaningful relationship with you. It can't give you the holistic financial planning that a financial advisor could do. Hopefully our listeners have found that quite useful, quite informative. AI is becoming a bigger part of everybody's life, but just be aware when you're using it, is it the right application? And if you are using it correctly, is the data set and the sources correct as well? Thank you very much for listening to the Howard Wright Know Your Money podcast. I've been Ashley Smith.
And I've been Tom Richards.
If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe or share on your socials. And if you're listening to us on Apple Music or Spotify, please drop us a follow and leave us a review.
Really helps other people find the podcast, enabling them to know their money better and build stronger financial futures. Please also check out the Howard Wright link tree in the description of this podcast below for loads more tips, tricks, articles, videos and podcasts just like this one. And most importantly, stay tuned for future episodes.
This recording contains information from sources believed to be reliable, but no guarantee, warranty or representation express or implied is given to its accuracy. Howard Wright does not undertake any obligation to update or revise any future statements. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future results. Investments can go down as well as up, and actual results could differ materially from those anticipated. This recording is for the information purposes only and has no regard to the specific investment objectives or financial situation of any individual. The information contained in this recording is not intended to constitute and should not be construed as investment or financial advice. Appropriate personalised advice should always be taken before entering into any transactions. No responsibility can be accepted for any loss arising from action taken or refrain from being taken based on this publication. Howard Wright is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.